All right, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another AjaxCast. Today, I got Kelvin and lots of the bear with me, where we're going to be talking about the college football playoff. I'm sure you all have watched it as of so far. We saw Georgia beat down LSU. Go Dogs! But yeah, what are y'all's initial thoughts from this top four?
Um,
I think they got it right.
yeah, me too. I don't think TCU I don't think TCU should have dropped out. Can't punish them for playing in the conference championship game. I mean, they already played Kansas State and beat them one time. Say it's hard to beat a team twice, so the hand was pretty much in Kansas State's favor. And then Ohio State definitely should have jumped USC. I don't think Bama or Tennessee had a case over Ohio State for that fourth spot. So yeah, I think they
Mm-mm.
got it right.
The only case I could have made for anyone else besides Ohio State, like I agree, Ohio State should have gone in as four, since they lost a rivalry game, but the score ended up looking pretty bad at the end.
Yeah.
It was close the whole game until the end. They just kind of fell apart. But Bama only lost by a total of 4 points. One on the last play of the game and one in overtime, which is
Yeah,
tough.
and on the all on the road also.
Both on the road. Death Valley and Neyland Stadium. Two of the hardest places to play in. Um,
Yep.
But TCU, kind of what me and John talked about earlier, I wouldn't want to drop them out either because they lost by 3 in their conference championship, like
Yeah,
in overtime too. You know, they went for it on the line. They came up 2 inches short.
yeah. It's not like they got blown out or anything. And like I said earlier, they already beaten Kansas State too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
I feel like it's unfair to punish them to losing to a team they already beat.
Yeah, and
Especially if it was Georgia or Alabama, either of those teams would get in that situation.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I think if they had gotten blown out though, that they could have easily gotten kicked out. But the fact that the game was so close, and the fact that they had Max Duggan, an absolute dog, coming in who carried that team, and dude like was hyperventilating, wouldn't take any oxygen, was fucking bleeding out the whole game, like. That dude, like, I wanted to give him the Heisman just for that. Now, I don't think he's the best player in the country. I think the best player in the country is not going to get the Heisman this year since he's been hurt, which we can talk about in just a little bit. But moving forward, for the first matchup, we got TCU, Michigan. I'll keep it simple. Who you guys got?
Probably Michigan.
yeah. I'm going Michigan. I think Michigan's power run game. I know Blake Corum is hurt, but Donovan Edwards is really good too. I just don't think TCU will have enough um, defense or firepower on offense to keep up with Michigan. Michigan's defense is really, really, really good.
Yeah.
So I think it'll probably be like 30 to 14, 30 to 17, somewhere around
All right, so then I guess I got to go TCU. Just
there.
because y'all both picked Michigan. I mean, Max Duggan's absolute dog. They got 2 NFL caliber wide receivers. I can't remember their names, but there's that one dude who is fucking what 6'5", 230, and runs a 4.4.
Yeah.
I was surprised he dropped that one pass in the fourth quarter against Kansas State, and I think it may have cost them the entire game because it would have been a touchdown. Um, but I don't know. I'm excited for it. I'm not too nervous when it comes to this game because at the end of the day, I'm fine with either team winning. I'd rather TCU win because I'm not a big Big Ten fan or a Harbaugh fan. But yeah, so it sounds pretty straightforward. I think Michigan will have a slight edge on them though, so they're gonna probably be favored by 9.5? You think maybe open at 11.5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be favored by more than one score, I think. Especially since TCU is coming off a loss and Michigan looked pretty dominant in the second half of their championship game. And then we got Georgia, Ohio State. We got CJ Stroud, and then the best player in the country. No one is on this dude's level. But who you guys got for this game? I mean, we're all pretty biased, but
I'm pretty biased, but either way, I don't think anyone's beating Georgia.
Yeah. I mean, we finally get to see these two teams play. I feel like these fan bases have been going back and forth on Twitter for years about who will beat who. Now we finally get to play. I
yeah.
mean, obviously, I want Georgia, and I think Georgia will win. But if Georgia's secondary played like they did yesterday against C.J. Stroud and Marvin Harrison
Yeah, if
Jr.,
Keely Ringo doesn't step his ass up.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it-
secondary, or are you just talking about one person who was walking in the middle of a
yeah,
play and who just
and
gave up on a few tackles?
yeah, if Georgia's secondary played like that, I mean, play like that against Ohio State,
We're getting
it could be
torched.
a long day for Georgia.
Yeah. The good thing is Tyke's gonna be back. So he adds a lot of firepower to the secondary. Like I said, he'll come up there and pop you. So a lot of those guys aren't gonna want to run those quick slants that were kind of killing us a little bit.
Yeah,
And if you noticed, it was always the opposite side from Christopher Smith. I mean, yeah, he plays our star. He roams a little more, but man, I wanted to give a lot of credit to LSU. They kept like the ball away from him as much as they
yeah,
could. Like, cause that dude's a ball hawk,
yeah,
and him and LeCount played a lot alike when he was here at Georgia. But Smith, man, if the ball was on his side of the field, it was either intercepted, tipped, all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of just forced throws around him that didn't need to be made. But you saw those big plays coming in on the opposite side of the field where Keely Ringo was either the lone corner and he was the only one there, or Malachi Starks was having to get over there late because he couldn't give up the middle of the field because they kept streaking a damn tight end down on a post route every single time.
yeah. I think another huge difference in this game from what I saw in the Michigan Ohio State game is Georgia's D line has to dominate Ohio
Mm-hmm.
State's offensive line. If you
Yeah.
can
Yep.
pressure C.J. Stroud and make him uncomfortable, then he's
Which
not.
we definitely can do.
Oh yeah. But if like I said, if Georgia's not getting any pressure or anything like that, and they allow C.J. Stroud to just sit in the pocket all game and just play play
Yeah.
tough, it it can be a long day for Georgia because Ohio State's receivers are on another level.
Yeah, it's gonna be similar to the Tennessee game. Like if we execute properly, because he's very similar to Hendon Hooker. He's probably a little more athletic. Talent wise, for wide receiver, I'd say they're similar. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a little better, but when it comes down to it, y'all both hit the nail on the head. Georgia's front seven has got to keep carrying like they've been doing. That's why our defense has been elite. Um, and then I don't think Georgia's offense will slow down at all. I mean, you saw when we fully opened the playbook against LSU how we scored like that, and then we just
Yeah,
went to run the counter, run the power O, basic routes for the rest of the game.
yeah. I actually saw a very interesting stat on Twitter. If it was like Georgia's offense in big games, specifically Stetson Bennett, I think they said he scored about 28 touchdowns this season or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. 17 of those have been in the quote unquote big games for Georgia. So
Yep.
Oregon, South Carolina, Mississippi State, any other big game that we played, he is like a touchdown machine.
Yeah.
So it just seems like whenever Georgia's in playing a big game, big opponent, Stetson's like, all right, I guess I'll play quarterback today.
Yeah. I mean, watching him play in the Oregon game, I was like, oh my God, this dude is the best player in the fucking
That
country.
Yeah.
seems to be how our kicker kicks as well. He's just like, oh, this kick doesn't
Old
matter.
tripod.
I might miss it. It's like,
Yeah.
need to win the game? All right, I'm going to make this one. Don't worry about
Yeah.
it.
The ice in the veins. Yeah. But yeah, I think you'll see a lot of Georgia players really step up because there's just been a ton of beef between Georgia and Ohio State, especially fans. Like, and you know it's going to be within the players as well. So I can see this game getting chippy from the start. Luckily, like we don't have to worry about George Pickens punching anybody or anything like that since he's not here. But I expected to get really rowdy. I actually one of my buddies that went to Ohio State. Me and him were talking about this game earlier today, and he's like, I'm not a big football fan, but if Ohio State were to lose, I would not be upset. We have the most obnoxious fan base. That was coming from an Ohio State fan. So I was like, dude, I think the whole country is rooting for Georgia. Like, and it's,
Who do
huh?
uh, who do you think Michigan would want to play?
I
Because
think,
I was watching ESPN earlier and they were just like their mind is on the Georgia game from last year, and I know they want to get their revenge, but also how sweet would it be to beat Ohio State again in the national championship
I
game?
don't think Michigan wants anything to do with Georgia again. Like if you watch that game last year, if you really go back and watch it, like we beat them in pretty much every aspect. We were so much faster, so much stronger,
What was the
bigger.
final score to that game?
I think it was 34-13. Pretty sure it was 34-13.
I think you're right.
34 to
34-11.
11.
Yep.
34-11. That was 3 points.
Yeah, it wasn't even close.
Yeah. And like Georgia went prevent like pretty much halfway through the third quarter to the rest of the game.
Save for Alabama.
Like if they were like Ryan Day, the score would have been probably 68-11. Like God. See, that's one thing I really respect about Kirby, and I do respect about Nick Saban as well. They do not give a shit about stat padding. Like
Nope.
that's why CJ Stroud looks so good. Oh, because he put up 7 touchdowns against Iowa Technical College Penitentiary of the South. You know, like that's just not. I mean, yeah, there's teams that have done that, but that's never really been in Georgia's motto. Like, yeah, there's teams we're just gonna beat up on, but like you saw, we've played 3 quarterbacks,
Yeah.
which is why carrying to my next thing. Out of these 4 guys, who's the best up here right now?
Mm. That's hard.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm ruling out Michigan's guy. First was it McCarthy? Yeah, I'm ruling him out first. I think he chokes in a lot of big pressure situations, and he to me he looked like he was a little rattled during the Ohio State game. He's just lucky he's athletic enough to make some plays, but he misses a ton of reads. Stroud, I kind of have to see another big game from him to see how I really feel about him. Stetson, my only issue with Stetson is, oh my God, when we play teams and he has people open, when he goes through his progressions, he does not fully go through them. He will stare down one person. I think he picks him from start to play and stares him down. Like if he knows Arian Smith is running a fly route, that's the only person he looks at. Like I get that's his first progression, but he could have someone crossing the field that's wide ass open that could easily take it 20, 30 yards.
Yeah.
That's my
I,
big issue.
I think I'm probably going to go Jalen Carter. He is. Oh, wait. Yeah.
Yeah. Or no, for the 4 quarterbacks up here, like so that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
and like
Oh, yeah. The 4 quarterbacks. It's between CJ or Max Dugan.
yeah,
I mean,
I think so too. I'd prefer Dugan because he's an absolute dog. Like
yeah.
you saw CJ Stroud get a little banged up and he kind of laid down a little.
Yeah.
Dude, Max Dugan had heart surgery like 4 weeks before the season started, and here he is, dude. I don't know how he didn't pass out. Like I don't know why they didn't give him like oxygen, like or they offered to give him oxygen. He said no during the middle of that
I,
game.
I think I'll put it in terms like this. I think the best quarterback is probably CJ Stroud.
Yes.
The better college player is probably Max Dugan. If
Yeah.
you incorporate everything that goes in with being a college quarterback, the heart you put on the field,
Mm-hmm.
how the team rallies. I mean, like you said, everybody saw it yesterday. Like he left everything out on the field.
Yeah, very Tebow-esque.
Yeah, and it's like in college, that's who I want to leave my team because I know all my teammates are gonna love him. He's gonna leave every ounce on the field, and he's not gonna lose you the game either. It's not like that, and that could be Stetson's problem sometimes. There have been a couple games at Georgia where he will lose you the game, like the Florida game in Alabama.
Where he just cuts it loose out of nowhere. Like there's 2 like back-to-back plays on that one drive where we end up coming down and scoring. Like he just forced the ball in there, and he's lucky the LSU defender was like, "There's no way he's throwing the ball right here."
Yeah.
Man, but yeah, Dugan, dude, like he looks good, and he can hum the ball too, man. He throws some frozen ropes. He doesn't like to put any air under the ball. So I'm real interested to see like this QB battle, but I think I'd go Stroud 1, like as
I would
Yeah,
go Stroud, Dugan, Stetson, McCarthy is
I'm gonna flip Stroud and Dugan. So I'm gonna go Dugan, Stroud, Stetson, McCarthy.
yeah. I feel like McCarthy really hasn't had to do too much.
Mm-mm.
I mean Blake Corum was the offense for Michigan this whole season,
Yeah.
so he was kind of more of like a game changer. Now the Ohio State game, he played great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't take that away from him, but can he do it against a great defense?
Can he
Yeah,
do it? Can see. Here's the thing. I don't think he can beat somebody like Georgia, like
mm-hmm.
because what he does is since he's faster than everybody, he can kind of get to the outside, make some plays happen. Versus Georgia, he's not faster than those guys. Like
Yeah,
he's not. Like our linebackers will hawk him down and sling him like a rag doll.
yeah,
And then dude, fucking Jalen Carter may even be faster than him, and he's a 300 plus pounder.
yeah. I think Jalen Carter is probably the best player in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like when he was out, and then when he came back, I believe he came back the Florida game.
Mm-hmm. He fully
You can
came
just
back.
tell. Yeah, you can just tell how Georgia's defense still played well, but also Kent State and Missouri were having success running the ball
Mm-hmm.
with Georgia, and that
Yeah.
was because Jalen Carter wasn't there. And then Jalen Carter gets back, and Georgia's defense just turns up. I mean, that Tennessee game dominated.
Yeah,
Like,
and a big thing that killed us because Jalen Carter came back in that Missouri game, or was it Missouri? It was one of the games he came back. So Georgia, like everyone that kind of keeps up knows that they run a few different packages for defense,
mhm,
and we really had two vocal leaders. It's kind of transformed, and Dumas has kind of stepped up into that role. But you have two vocal leaders on the defense. One of them was Jalen Carter, one of them was Nolan Smith, and they were on
yeah,
opposite packages. So that way, one of them would be on the field at the entire time. When Nolan Smith got hurt and Jalen Carter was still a little banged up, that package that Nolan Smith was on struggled a ton. We gave up a majority of our touchdowns when his package was in after he got hurt.
Yeah.
And then
mhm,
vice versa, when Jalen Carter was hurt and Nolan Smith was not on the field, that was when we gave up a majority of those touchdowns as well. So seeing just Jalen
yeah,
Carter stand for like 90% of the first half
mhm,
like in the SEC championship was unreal. Like I hadn't seen him play that many downs in a row. Like I don't think I've seen a defensive lineman in a while for Georgia play that many downs in a row. So that was really cool to see.
yeah.
And we didn't even
He's
play him in the
probably
second half. Really, we played him probably first 5 minutes of the third quarter, and then he didn't touch the field after that.
and
So
he's probably going to be the number 2 pick in the draft. I think the Texans are more than likely going to take quarterback, but whoever's there at number 2, it needs to be Jalen Carter. He's just
what quarterback would you take in the draft?
Who's winning the
uh,
Heisman?
I would probably go Bryce Young. If I personally would take Caleb Williams, even though he's not draft eligible this year. But um, out of this year's quarterbacks, Bryce Young. I mean, because even though Bama has struggled this year, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't his fault.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that it's not been his
dude,
fault
he's just gonna
at
get
all.
broken in the NFL, man. Uh, I just think he's gonna be too small for the NFL. But hey, who knows with him? But if I don't know when what you were talking about with Heisman, Jonathan, I think you know I want to say like obviously I think Jalen Carter is the best player. Oh, what happened to my camera?
Goodbye.
All right, I guess we don't get to hear my take. Hang on, I will rejoin. There we go. Um, oh, I think I know what happened, but um, I think Jalen Carter's the best player in the country, and it's not even close. But if I had to pick someone who's been an absolute game changer for a team, um, Bijan Robinson at Texas is kind of unreal. Um, I'd put like the two best running backs I think are him and Jameer Gibbs, but Jameer Gibbs kind of got a little banged up, didn't really play much the last third of the season, and he would make a good impact, but so would their backup running back as well. I always forget his name. So I'm leaning more towards Bijan, even if his stats
What
don't look
about
the best.
Hooker?
Mm, I think to be the best player, you have to come up in like big games, especially when you have such an elite team. Granted, that doesn't really favor well in Texas's case for Bijan, but they kind of sucked in general. So Tennessee was kind of on a pedestal to be the number one team in the world or in the country, and they got absolutely shit on at Georgia. And Hendon Hooker
Yeah.
looked like he had never played a down of football in his life that game. So that's why I can't pick him.
I think first off, I just want to say this is probably the weakest Heisman I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I really, if I had a choice not to give it to anybody, I wouldn't.
That's why I think you
But
give it to a defensive player this year.
yeah, I think if I had to give it to somebody, though, it's probably, I guess it would have to be Caleb Williams. I mean,
Yeah,
I think he's gonna.
it's
I
also
think he's.
a popularity contest, you know. Like that's how
Yeah,
the Heisman is.
yeah. I mean, and he's played great, and then I mean, they were well on their way to blowing out Utah before he pulled his hamstring,
Mm-hmm.
and then he would have definitely solidified his Heisman because he did have a Heisman moment in like that first quarter.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they were balling in that first quarter, and then he
Mm-hmm.
got hurt. But I would probably give it to him. But like I said, I mean, there are also like 3 or 4 other quarterbacks who put up the same stats and who were in the
Exactly.
same situation as him. So nobody really stood out from each other this year enough for me to be like, oh yeah, you're the clear cut best player in the country. I'm giving you the Heisman. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why like I'd love to give it to a defensive player.
Mhm.
I'd give it to that end from Ohio State who had like the interception, the fumble recovery, all in that one game. What was it? Was it the Penn State game?
Yeah, yeah, he dominated that game.
Yeah, what 4 sacks or something like that too. Shit, I would have given it to him right then. That was pretty cool to see. Let's see, but my last little topic: can anyone topple the dogs?
No. Georgia by 50.
I think if Georgia plays their game, and Georgia's thing is, do not turn the ball over.
Mm-hmm. That's
If
all
Yeah.
it is.
If Georgia does not turn the ball over, they will beat any team in the country by 14, 17 points.
Yep.
But like, and it comes down to Stetson. Like I said yesterday during the game, I'm like, if Stetson just doesn't do anything dumb, aka throwing it into triple coverage to Lad McConkey over 6'2" DBs,
Yeah.
then Georgia should win every single game.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
Or him staying real humble because that's a slight issue with him is staying humble, and I think that's
Yes.
what has him forcing a lot of those passes.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, shit, if he starts forcing passes, do you pull him? Like, if he throws like 2 interceptions in the first quarter, do you pull him?
I don't think so. I think that this team is too. They look at him as the leader
Yeah,
of the team, and if he gets pulled, then I think they'll look at it like weakness, a little weakness in Kirby,
yeah,
or like he's stressing out or struggling or
yeah.
something.
I don't think he'll ever pull him. I was just wondering what you thought.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a good move. Or now, I sound like a hypocrite because last year during the SEC championship game, I was like, Stetson needs to go. We need to play JT.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, then I realized like, okay, everybody has bagging.
Yeah, look,
Stetson just bagging.
you know what I was saying during that C championship last year. I was saying burn Vandegrift's red shirt, put him in, let's go, throw him into the fire against Bama. Oh man, so yeah, I'm pumped to see it. Um, but yeah, I got some more plans for us in the future to talk about Stetson and Georgia coming up. We'll do some more leading up to the national championship and to the playoff games. But thank you guys for all the support. You guys have been showing a ton of love as of late. It was just the other day when I was thanking everyone for 200 subscribers, and now we're about to hit 300, and we just had one of our biggest videos hit over 50,000 views. So that is fucking awesome. But if you guys want to see anything, we got a ton of new stuff coming. We got a few surprises kind of in the works right now. We need a few more things to fall through. We're on Spotify. If you haven't seen that already, if you haven't listened to it, listen to our beautiful voices, but you don't get to see the beautiful faces. Check us out on all of our social media. That'll be down in the bio, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.